everyone, welcome to Survival Crafts. Brenda here. On our last video, we made a plantain gel and I loved it. The plantain gel worked really well for me for the mosquito bites. And I wanted to kind of try something a little bit differently this time. I wanted to produce another gel, but I wanted to make it with marshmallow root and oat straw. These two are really amazing for the skin. They're very soothing, they're very cooling, and very calming. Both of them have some other really interesting properties, which I'll talk about in a little bit on the video. But I wanted to try and make another gel. The last gel that we made, the plantain gel, we added xanthan gum and sclerotium gum. This week, we're going to be trying a little bit of a different gum. So let's go and have a look at how we're going to make this. Okay, so let's take a look at our materials that we're going to be working with. Gloves again. This time I have my little mini mixer ready. I've got a spatula. I've got a glass stirring rod. Temperature gun. Isopropyl alcohol again. I have a little container if I need to mix and weigh things. I have 2 glass beakers. And of course my container, and it's got a lid. Now let's have a look at what ingredients we're going to use. Now for our liquid ingredients, I have I've done a cold infusion of marshmallow with oat straw. It's got that kind of nice, lovely ambery sort of color. So we'll be using that at 97, I think it's just 97%. Yes, 97%. I've decided, because we're using the marshmallows, which have a high amount of polysaccharides, that I need to be sure that my preservative is for sure going to cover it, which I suspect the other one will, but this time I'm kind of upping my game and I'm using Liquid Germall Plus. This is not EcoCert, and it's not recognized as natural, so to speak, by the cosmetic industry. Not that it matters, it's still a preservative and it works great. Now, I mentioned that we used xanthan gum and sclerotium gum on the last video to make the plantain gel. This time, we're going to be using sodium alginate powder. Sodium alginate powder is from a brown algae called Phaeophyceae. And so it's also naturally derived. That's it. 3 simple ingredients. So let's get started. Now once again, I have everything sanitized with my isopropyl alcohol, done my due diligence there. Okay, so I'm going to take 97% of my liquid, or as my product, as the marshmallow and oat liquid. And we'll see how close I can get to this. I'm not going to make you sit and watch me all day if I have to keep moving back and forth with this to try and get the right weight on here. So I'll be right back once I got my proper weight for my marshmallow and oat mixture. Okay, we are at where we need to be. Now the last time I put it in my little crock pot. This time I'm going to put it into the microwave for about 15 seconds. That should get me pretty close to the temperature that I need in order to work with the sodium alginate. All right, great. So that worked out well. Let's check out the temperature here. And that's at 43 degrees, which is pretty good because our Germall Plus, we need to have that below 45 degrees before it'll actually work. Well, we don't want to ruin the properties of the preservative itself. Okay, now let's weigh out our sodium alginate. And that we are using at 2%. Now I've made another one at 3%, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But I want to make sure that we try it at different weights, because for me this is a little bit more experimental at the moment. Perfect. Okay. Now, With sodium alginate, you can actually do the same thing that we did with the sclerotium gum. And that is, you can, if the liquid is warm enough, you should be able to just blend it straight in. So we're going to give that a try and give that a little blend. This might be a bit of a short video. You can see that's blending in really quite nicely. And we're already starting to get a little bit of a viscosity to it. We definitely want this to hydrate fairly well. There's still a few little lumps and stuff into that, but that's all right. I'm going to add my preservative right now. I should be fine to do that. And this is going in at 1%. There we go. And we'll give that a good blend. That's really solidifying quite nicely already, even as we speak. So we want to make sure that everything gets incorporated really, really well. Because this is such a viscous product here. And the one thing about using this little mini coffee whisk is that it's going to incorporate an awful lot of air into this. So it'll get pretty bubbly, but you'll see when I bring the other one over, those bubbles over time will dissipate somewhat. And we'll take a look at this one a little bit later as well, but I do need to get this one to hydrate just a little bit more. So I'm going to go and grab the other one so we can have a little look and compare once this hydrates through quite nicely. Okay, I'm going to give this about 15 minutes or so. Let it completely hydrate. We'll give it another good, another really good mix, and make sure that everything's hydrated and incorporated. And then we'll do a side-by-side comparison of the 2% and the 3%. All right, so you might be able to see this, maybe not, but this one right here is the one that I did earlier, and this one's really, really quite thick and viscous. This one is not as viscous, but it's still pretty thick. You can actually see on the bottom there, hopefully you can see that, is it's starting to lose a lot of the bubbles. This one still has some of the bubbles, but it may over time reduce quite a bit. Now they're both made the exact same way. They both have the liquid Germon Plus, they have the Marshmallow Oat Infusion, and they both have been made with sodium alginate powder. The only difference is this one was 3% and this one is 2%. So let's take a look at the difference between the two. Before I do that, I'm going to just whip this one up just a little bit more because we want to make sure that all those properties have incorporated really well, and we were still waiting to have everything completely hydrated in here. Now this viscosity here is pretty big compared to what it was earlier, just simply because we've got this is starting to thicken up quite a bit with the sodium alginate, which is what you would expect. All right, we'll just clean my little whisk off there a little. Now that's improved the appearance quite a bit. So we've still got a little bit of a less viscous fluid here. You can, not fluid, material. And you can see it's sticking to the glass stirring rod, but hopefully you can see this, that it's also, sorry, I'm going out of frame, but you can also see that it is dropping fairly well off of the glass stirring rod back into the mixture itself. All right, let's take a look at this one. So this one is much more viscous, much thicker, and if I take that out in a big, if I take it out in a big blob, it's really going to take a while before, see if I can get that to be seen. before it kind of drops off. So this one is much more viscous than this one here. And really, neither is right, neither is wrong. It's just really all about preference. What do you prefer? So for skin feel, this one we'll just add a little bit on the skin right there. And try to get a good sampling of this one and add a bit on the skin right there. Both of them feel the same. You can see this one here is just stayed up as a gel. Hopefully you can see that on camera. This one is a tiny bit more runny. But if I rub this one in, the skin feel is nice. I'm actually going to remove my gloves for this. The skin feel is pretty nice. It's very, very silky, but it's tacky. It's very tacky feeling. And then the other one, it actually glides on a whole lot nicer, a whole lot easier. So we'll give them a bit of time to dry up, and we'll see what actually happens with that. Now, while we're waiting, let's just talk a little bit about the ingredients. So, so the sodium alginate obviously helps with the viscosity of the product. The liquid Germall Plus is what's going to give it its preservative properties. But the ones I wanted to talk about the most are the marshmallow and oat. So let's talk about the marshmallow first. Now really, these two are amazing, and they're very, very similar in their actions. So with marshmallow, I love this plant for uses inside the body as well as outside of the body. Now many people, when we talk about marshmallow as a medicine, are really shocked to know that there's a plant called marshmallow. It's not those squishy, white, horrible, sugary gelatin things that you find in the grocery store. True marshmallows, when they were first made, the white, squishy looking things a long time ago, were actually made as a medicine. And they have some really amazing medicinal properties. Today, you would be hard-pressed to find any real medicine anywhere near the marshmallows. They're all pretty crappy, horrible things to eat. But let's talk about marshmallow just on the external part. I won't really go into the internal properties of it that we take as a medicine inside. So for one thing, marshmallow is incredibly anti-inflammatory. So if you've got irritated skin and you've got inflammation going on, marshmallow is a wonderful plant to utilize for that. Now, whether you use it as a gel like this, or it's a bit harder to make it as a salve, although I certainly have been able to do so. It makes a wonderful lotion, which you'll see on the next video that we make. It's going to be a marshmallow, oat, and plantain lotion or cream, depending on how we mix it up, how we make it. But it's highly anti-inflammatory. It's very, very good for soothing and reducing redness in the skin. It also helps the skin to retain the moisture, and it's very, very good for sensitive skin. Now, one other thing is that with my niece, when her first little boy was really young, he had pretty bad diaper rash. So we actually used a marshmallow salve for him, and it worked amazing on the yeast infection. Now with oats, it's a similar story. Oats are also incredibly anti-inflammatory. They're superb for skin that's crazy itchy. If you've got really irritated, dry, itchy skin, it's amazing. It also has the ability to retain moisture, which is important for the skin. You want your skin to retain its moisture. Not so moist that you get little pruny wrinkles, but you definitely need to have some moisture in the skin. That's the way that we actually protect ourselves. So those are the some of the properties. There's way more I could talk about, but in the space of a short little video, that's not practical, and there's not enough time to do that. All right. So I'm going to mix the two of these together. Why not? Let's give it a try. Let's see how that how that works. This is all stuff I'm definitely going to be using. It's such a soothing product. So let's just mix them together and see what we get. And by the way, yes, my countertop is has been sanitized, so I'm not too worried about putting my equipment down. Normally I would put it on a paper towel or something like that. Let's see what happens when we mix 2% and 3% together. And let's check out the viscosity, and let's check out what happens. So we've still got a fairly viscous mixture. Oh, this is beautiful stuff. This is really nice. One of the things I would love to do with this in particular is actually to do freeze-dry dehydration and keep it as a powder and then just add a little bit of water. So you could take the powder with you on a backpacking trip or whatever and just add a little bit of water to rehydrate it and utilize it. So this is so good for things like sunburns, and it too will soothe mosquito bites, but I would say it's not really going to take the itch away hugely, not like the plantain will, even though there is oat in here that can help with that. This would be a lot better on a mosquito bite where somebody's just been scratching and scratching and scratching and scratching, and then it really is annoying and painful. Then I would probably add this in. Okay, so before we conclude this video, I want to just talk one more quick second about the preservatives here. So I mentioned on the plantain video about the preservatives, and I mentioned about the fact that some people will quote that rosemary essential oil or grapeseed oil or vitamin E are preservatives. That's kind of almost true in a way, but it's more specific to oils. So it will stop an oil from going rancid, but it will not deal with bacterial growth. And that's one big thing. The other thing about these, about the many of the preservatives that I use, for me, I would have to use, to make this, I'd have to use a water-based preservative, right, to make a gel. If I make a salve or a cream, that's fine because there's an emulsifier in the cream, and then also with the salve, it's all oil-based. But to make an aqueous product like this, the oils will not mix with this. So they'll just kind of float, and you might be able to use high agitation to get them to emulsify for a while, but they will break out of the aqueous solution and just float on top because they're oil based. So just understand that, be aware of that. Even if they were even if they were antibacterials or good preservatives, they would just separate out of any aqueous solution, and they would just float on top, and therefore they really wouldn't offer any protection from bacterial growth in your product. So just be aware of things like that, and be a critical thinker on it. So the next video, we're going to make our cream, and then the video after that, I'm going to start working on making the preservative video, just so you can see what actually happens when we add the above aforementioned ingredients, the rosemary essential oil, the grapeseed oil, and the vitamin E. We'll do that full test, and we're going to do that over about 4 weeks, so we can see what results we get. All right. If you like what we do, please give us a thumbs up. Please like, please subscribe, and please share. Thanks so much for watching our videos. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.